All right, let's just do this. No dilly-dallying. Let's get this day started. Go ahead, T-Rex. Steve, after you. 43 degrees at 8:52 on Tuesday, November 26th. 43, and it says it's going to rain, and I think it's right. Actually, I know it's right. There's a wall of rain coming right at us. Look at Steve sneaking up on the birds so slowly. Stealth. It's stealth. They can't see you, Steve. It's so nice to not have wind for a change. There's a lot of wind up there in the sky, but there's not a lot of wind down here near the ground. And we've got a barge incoming. I don't think we're going to be out here long enough to see that barge. Are those loons? Maybe they are. One of the viewers said they were loons last week. I thought they were cormorants. Regardless, here comes a front to New England, and it's going to be a very fronty week. A lot of weather. Start off this morning with the temperatures. You see some temperatures in the 20s. Now, yesterday we had the 20s in the Adirondacks, where it's in the 30s this morning and raining. And we have the 20s in northern New Hampshire and the Northeast Kingdom, where the air went still last night and the clouds came in overnight, and it is beginning to rain with a temperature in the 20s. So there's a bit of icing happening in northern New England today. How can it rain with a temperature in the 20s? Well, warmer air coming in aloft, and we can see that on the Mount Washington. First of all, a couple of webcams that I couldn't use the last few days. At Jay Peak, the webcam, the internet was down for 4 days, so I didn't get to see that. Wow, does it look like winter at Jay Peak? Yes, it does. And some friends actually poached a couple turns yesterday saying, great texture to the snow that fell there over the weekend. It was a 5 to 10 inch snowfall that we were really kind of unaware of because I couldn't see, the cameras were down and I wasn't getting any intel on that. So also another camera that opened up today because it was covered with rime ice and frozen precipitation for the last 4 days at the summit of Mount Washington. There's the view this morning in the clouds with some light wintry mix coming down, the tower cam at Mount Washington, where if you look at the vertical profile on the auto road, the warmest weather is at about 4,000 feet, closing in on 40 degrees, and the coldest is at the base of the mountain. That's an inversion, 24 degrees this morning at the base of the auto road, so that's why you may get some freezing precipitation, and the temperature is going to go up, and we're ending up more wet than white in most of New England today. The surface map this morning early showed a little bit of a high pressure system right over Maine. What was that, about a 10, 12, 10, 13, responsible for that nice radiational cooling last night. And then there's a couple of weak lows there, an occluded low going north of Lake Ontario, and then another sort of triple point low that's going to intensify as it goes into the Gulf of Maine. And we may have actually freezing rain, changing to rain, changing back to snow in some of the highest elevations of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine today. Let's look at the HRRR, get right to it. And the green is rain, the purple is sleet, any red on there would be freezing rain, not looking like a lot of freezing rain, and blue is snow. And so you can see the highest elevations of Vermont getting a tiny bit of snow, and then as you move north into New Hampshire, and especially north central Maine, here we're getting a longer period of snow, and it looks like there will be an accumulation of maybe 3 to 6 inches of snow around Mount Katahdin, Jackman, Maine. Anyone deer hunting today? Steve White, there'll be enough snow to track the deer, and I think there's still some left over from what happened over the last several days in northern New England. As for here in southern New England, there is snow in the forecast for southern New England, not near Boston, but it looks like we're going to have a white Thanksgiving in the Berkshires, especially the higher elevations. And for Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, New York, it is going to snow on our Thanksgiving. It's not an easy call. Let's look at the Boston 5-day here. We're looking at it. And the red line is the temperature. The blue line is the dew point. You can see they're both in the 40s today. And then you get cooler tonight and tomorrow. No freeze for Boston ahead of this system. And then it's wet on Thanksgiving Day. And the temperature goes back to the mid-40s. And it's a cold rain. And it does not look that windy in Boston. There will be some wind in northern New England. It's going to be a fairly fast-moving system. A lot of moisture with it. But the dynamics are not right for a major storm. Call it a moderate storm. And then you can see it gets colder in Boston and stays dry. And if I go right to the 15-day for Boston, you see plenty of cold. It looks like kind of December weather. Oh, wait, it is going to be December. Oh, here are the sparrows singing. So I'm using my camera microphones, and so you can hear more of the gnat sound than the noise canceling lavaliers because there's no wind. And T-Rex has just got the hair up on the back of his neck. He's just looking around for what was crawling around the yard last night. So there's no precipitation in Boston after Thursday on that 15 day. And I don't believe that. I think that's going to be wrong. I think there'll probably be some rain and snow in there. All right, let's get to the main event. The system that's going to be coming at New England. We'll put the Euro into motion, and here's our low going by today and tonight. Now, notice it redevelops in the Gulf of Maine and sort of tandem lows, not racing away, though. They're moving north and then retrograding west into Quebec and almost into Ontario, and the circulation around those is counterclockwise. And so you have sort of west-southwest wind to our north as this next system comes at us, and then I'm going to freeze it here. Both the systems are on here Thursday morning. This is Thanksgiving morning, and you have dual 1,001 millibar lows, one to our north and one coming in through, it looks like northern New Jersey. And this is not the setup for a major snowstorm. When you have low pressure to your north, it negates the aspect of having a nor'easter with strong northeast winds because the air to our north is coming in from the west and southwest. And in order to get a strong storm, you want a high pressure system up there with the wind coming in from the north and east. So we have almost negating wind makers there, and also the dynamic. If you have a cold, solid, high-pressure system to your north, then the warmer air coming around the low-pressure system in southern New England, when it hits that colder air, it rises, and it's called overrunning, and it makes big, beautiful snowflakes. But if you have low pressure to your north and the air is not high density cold, then the only thing that causes the air to rise is the sort of warm and humid air that's coming in from the southeast and hitting. There's marginal cold there, but more so the mountains. So this is going to have a lot of upslope from the southeast. So that means the heaviest snow with this system is probably going to be lined on the south side of the mountains from north central Maine to New Hampshire and Vermont into Massachusetts and New York. So let's put this back in motion for just 12 hours. The low is deepening right as it goes over southern New England, so there's a lot of instability. I mean, it's going to snow and rain hard along and just north of the path of that low that we stop again here. And the low pressure system is just a smidge south of where we had it yesterday. Yesterday it was on the New Hampshire seacoast. Now it's just over Cape Ann. So that's really almost infinitesimally small difference. But it does make a little bit of a difference. Instead of the air coming in from the south in Boston, like I may have said yesterday, now that would be more of a neutral to almost no wind in Boston right when that low goes by. During the evening, the precipitation probably shutting down near the Boston area. And then it's a fast-moving system, and it's only a 6 to 12 hour storm, and it's going to keep on moving. The blue is the snow again, and it'll have shut off in southern New England. But there is going to be cold enough air that on the backside you may get some where you were rain on. Let's put this back in motion. Where you were rain on Thursday, there could be some icy spots on Friday morning. And this low also is not racing east due to the block. It's going to go more north and then almost west and almost retrograde again. But now you have the 516 and the 510 thickness coming across a vast area from Canada right into the southeastern United States. The Great Lakes snows are going to light up. We're going to have very windy and cold weather with more upslope snow coming at us over the weekend. And I talked about how something's probably going to go off to our south on Sunday or Monday, and it still looks like it is. We're going to be very cold and windy around here with instability and upslope snows and Great Lakes snows. But I think maybe some of that action south of Cape Cod may try and bend north a little bit. So I think there could be some surprises in there. The water is so warm. I think that natural baroclinic zone, the thermal boundary between warm and cold over the Gulf Stream, probably does generate something. But it's not until about next Tuesday and Wednesday. Now you get some clippers coming in. We have a solid flow from the northwest at all levels of the atmosphere for the most part. And you have low center. Actually, I should take that back a little bit. See, as this low comes in next Wednesday, and again, it's a Thursday. Low pressure going to our west and north with a southwest wind, but it's so cold. There'll be batches of snow and perhaps rain and snow near the coast there on Thursday. It's always a Thursday, isn't it? We'll stop it again next Thursday. and there's almost a Norland type trough forming in the Gulf of Maine. There's actually a 990 low in the Gulf of Maine with another clipper coming in from the northwest, so that's going to be really interesting, but there's no connection to, say, the Gulf of Mexico to make a big storm around here. But those little clippers, they can do some damage or some good, depending on your perspective on that. So it's very wintry, and I think there will be some surprises in the Boston, Cape Cod area. All right, there goes T-Rex up the stairs. He wants to go in, so the hose is going to be drained today, and the outdoor shower is going to be turned off. As I'm traveling, I'm not going to be here, and I don't think we're going to get a hard freeze in Boston until about the weekend, but I'm not sure when I'm coming back or when I'm going skiing either. I want to go skiing. I guess I should show the snowfall map, shouldn't I, for the Northeast. All right, today there's not much going on, but maybe 3 inches of snow in the Katahdin area, and otherwise it's probably a third to a half inch of rain central with almost no rain near the south coast. But we're talking about snow here. Now here comes the Thursday snow, and the purple is about 6 inches or so, and you see that the purple is lining up on the east and south side of the mountains from western Massachusetts through southern Vermont into New Hampshire and Maine. And if we stop it at about Saturday, that'll be after the Thanksgiving storm, and we put the cursor over Mount Katahdin, that includes what's happening today and on Thursday, Friday, you get about 15 inches at Katahdin. Otherwise, you don't have a lot of the deeper purple, so it looks like mostly a general, I'd say probably 5 to 9 inch snowfall, lower elevations to higher elevations where it is all snow. And you see there's shadowing effect, so it looks like southern Vermont and the east side of the presidentials could get more than northern Vermont and the west side of the presidentials, which makes sense because we don't have that high to the north. And then dribs and drabs after that. Great Lakes are going to get feet of snow, and we may get some more upslope snow. But the after Thursday, there's no big ticket event that we can hang our hat on until next Thursday. It's always a Thursday. This is about the 5th Thursday in a row that's been interesting with their forecast. And I remember about 4 Thursdays ago looked good, but nothing ever happened. But it's almost the same setup every week, where you have a low pressure coming at New England and it tries to redevelop off to the south and east, and it makes it a very challenging forecast. And so we love the challenging forecast. We love the nature, and we love the tranquility right this second before it starts raining on my head. And are those loons? They're not making any noise, but they're shaped like loons, aren't they? All right, so I think we have loons. And I think we're about done with the weather, and more from yesterday. It was so windy in the backyard again, the wind from the west, but you go into the front yard where the sun is out and the house blocks the wind. It was really nice. And I still have some flowers in bloom in the front yard, and so I'll take you on a little tour of the front yard, and then we'll have a time lapse of the sunset yesterday at the Fore River Bridge. And that was really pretty. It was kind of chilly. My fingers were freezing. I stood there for about 45 minutes to make that time lapse. So I hope you enjoy that, and play-by-play on this weather coming in for our Thanksgiving. It's always a Thursday. Huh, Steve? All right. Talk to you again. 24 hours. I'm sure it's going to change in some regard. 2:15 on our Monday afternoon. Not a cloud in the sky. And it's not honking wind anymore. And I don't have much in more for today. Ferry going from Hingham to Boston. Boat going out towards the Hull Gut. TK in his long shadows. And the short daylight. Of course, a time lapse in there. We'll just focus on weather instead of in more. Plenty of weather. And more and more and more. Come on, Blue Jay. Put on a show for us. Probably catch something. Maybe the sun going over the horizon with some high, thin clouds lighting it up. West Gut, not the East Gut. Meanwhile, on the south side of the house, gorgeous. No wind. Last of the mums. Thought it'd be tricky and put my pumpkins up here. Yeah, environments were even more tricky. Anybody in there? We share. It's time to cut the holly. You want to come inside? T-Rex wants to go outside. Funny, huh? What is it, Rex? What is it? Everybody funny looking. You're funny looking too. Sunset, 4:15, and it's 4 o'clock, but it looks like it's already down. Yep. Too slow, Tim. Too slow. All this is supposed to be bulldozed very soon. Always manage to find a boat though, don't we? And sunset. Second night in a row we're looking at warmer air advection to our west, but certainly didn't come in last night or today. Today being yesterday now. And here's the time lapse of the entire day. Defy you to find a cloud other than this one on these shortest days of the year. Sleepy, very sleepy. Till tomorrow.
Love the planet.